Moin, ihr wunderbare Menschen des Interwebs. Ich begrüße euch ganz herzlich zu meinem Let's Play von The Great Ace-Attorney Chronicles. Ich wurde ein bisschen überrumpelt, als ich die E-Mail bekommen habe mit meinem Key, weil ich eigentlich dachte, das Spiel erscheint erst in ein paar Tagen. Zumindest war das mein letzter Wissensstand. Deswegen war ich da jetzt ein wenig sehr überrascht, dass ich den Key erhalten habe. Aber ich habe mich riesig gefreut, weil ich mich so unfassbar auf dieses Game gefreut habe, um das endlich spielen zu können. Und wir werden uns gleich noch die Einstellung angucken, bevor wir hier in ein Adventure gehen. Das Ganze ist blind, also ich habe die Spiele noch nie gespielt, ich habe mir auch noch nie die japanische Version davon angeguckt. Deswegen gehen wir hier vollkommen blind rein in das Game. Und eine Sache, die es noch zu beachten gibt, dieses Spiel ist nicht verfügbar auf Deutsch. Ich weiß nicht, ob sie das nochmal später reinpatchen werden, ob das da abgedatet wird, aber der jetzige Stand ist, und das stand auch auf Steam dabei, dass die deutsche Sprachausgabe nicht unterstützt wird. So, und ich weiß, ich habe vor zig Jahren, als ich Yakuza schon mal angefangen hatte zu Let's Playen auf dem Kanal, hatte ich versucht, alles zu übersetzen. Das Resultat ist, du sitzt einfach ewig da. Also du sitzt ewig da, aber du liest dir den Text durch, dann übersetzt du den Text und dann geht es erst wieder weiter. Deswegen, ich werde das hier jetzt bewusst gleich sagen, ich werde das nicht machen. Ich werde nicht jeden Text übersetzen und einfach auch, weil ich manchmal auch ein paar Momente brauche, um zu gucken, okay, warte, wie übersetze ich das jetzt am besten ins Deutsche, damit es Sinn ergibt. Deswegen werde ich das nicht machen. Ich werde die Texte auf Englisch vorlesen und werde, da ich Englisch regelmäßig auch gebrauche, denke ich, recht gut damit durchkommen, ohne zu oft Probleme zu haben, zu verstehen, was sie von mir wollen. Für alle anderen sollte euer Englisch nicht so gut sein. Es tut mir leid, aber wie gesagt, ich möchte wirklich nicht das Ganze vorlesen, weil ich aus Erfahrung her weiß, wir kommen nicht vorwärts im Spiel. Es geht einfach nicht vorwärts dann. Und ich würde jetzt mich einmal ganz kurz hier umgucken. In den Optionen, also Musik, Effekte, Voices lassen wir alles an. Gameplay, Vibration wird ein bisschen schwer mit PC. Textbox Transparency. Ich mag das immer, wenn das ein bisschen durchsichtiger ist. Wait Time, okay. So, Language. Hier könnten wir jetzt die Stimmen ändern. Also, es ist wie, ich glaube, es ist gehalten wie bei Phoenix Wright, dass du einfach im Großen und Ganzen nur wirklich eine Sprachausgabe hast für Objection, Hold it, etc. Deswegen, wir können es mal versuchen auf Japanisch. Ich mag das immer, wenn du die Auswahl hast zwischen Englisch und Japanisch, es auf Japanisch umzustellen. Dann, das passt alles. Key lese ich mir jetzt nicht durch. Ich denke mal, hier wird es auch wieder ein Tutorial für geben. Und okay, hier Story Mode. Turn this on to enable Story Mode in place of Autoplay, allowing you to progress through the game automatically without having to press any buttons. The answers to questions, presentations of evidence, etc. are all handled on your behalf. Nee, lassen wir auch mal aus. Gut, dann Special Content gibt es hier auch. Ich habe gesehen in den Trailer, man kann hier auch Kostüme und so gehen. Es tut mir leid, dass das Spiel jetzt noch nicht losgeht. Ja, ihr könnt das gerne skippen. Ich kann es auch gerne in die Beschreibung reinschreiben, ab wann der erste Fall losgeht. Aber ich möchte mich hier immer gerne einmal noch umgucken. Ja, das sind jetzt alternative Outfits hier. Also Ryunosuke ist der Hauptcharakter in dem Game, den wir dann spielen. Was ist das denn hier? Oh, die schaut ja auch ganz schick aus, ne? Und ich glaube, man kann auch mehr freischalten. Ach ja, was ich auch unfassbar cool fand, als ich das erste Mal im Trailer gelesen habe. Sherlock Holmes. Ja, Sherlock Holmes ist der beste Name überhaupt. Ja, damit sieht er sieht er halt schon sehr albern aus, ne? Ja, komm, wir lassen ihn mal hier in seinem Sherlock Holmes Outfit. Ich weiß auch nicht, ob ich das hinbekomme, ihm Sherlock Holmes zu nennen. Regelmäßig. Ja, das lassen wir hier mal drinne. Gut, dann Back hier. Galerie, denke ich, werden wir noch nicht viel haben. Auditorium. Gut, nee. Das werden wir wahrscheinlich erst freischalten. Gut, dann würde ich sagen, Freunde, auf geht's. Select Adventure. New Game. Ja, ich habe noch nichts anderes gespielt hier. Richtige Cutscenes. Wow.
歴史的な開国から数十年、文明開化の大号令のもと、極東の島国にまさに今西洋文化の大波が押し寄せていた。活気に満ち溢れる帝都の民は変化、革新の熱気にむせ返り、その変化に戸惑う者も飲み込んで、時代は大きなうねりの中にあった。そして今、そんな時代を舞台に一つの物語が幕を開く。
Okay, Episode 1, The Adventure of Great Departure. Das sind... Okay. Okay, den Sound finde ich tatsächlich Katastrophe. Also ich weiß nicht warum, aber den Sound finde ich gerade irgendwie nicht so angenehm zum Zuhören. Finde ich cool, dass man so richtige Cutscenes jetzt mit dabei hat. Schauen wir mal. I still can't believe it. I still can't believe this is happening. How can it be that just beyond the doors to this quiet little chamber is the highest court in Japan, waiting to decide my fate? Aber es ist keine Garantie, dass ich jedes Wort exakt richtig ausspreche. What? Oh, no, nothing. Save your glares, murderer. Sorry. My name is Ryunosuke Naruhodo. I'm a second-year student at the Imperial Yume University. 3 days ago, I somehow found myself in the middle of a horrifying incident. And now, here I am, awaiting my trial. That's enough. He's not obliged to listen to such abuse, officer. And who are you? I am this man's lawyer. I will be defending him today. Lawyer? Yes, and until the judge has given his verdict on the case, no one has the right to treat him as a criminal. So you will hold your tongue. Ansonsten schleiß ich dich hier in Stückchen. Technicalities, look at you. You haven't even graduated yet. And yet I still seem to know better than you how a court officer should behave. Right, Ryunosuke? Oh, yes, of course, sorry. What are you apologizing to me for? Oh, I suppose that wasn't my fault. But really, Kazuma, I never meant to drag you into this. I'm sorry. There you go again, apologizing. Just like always. So I must say, you've been all over the newspapers these past few days. Yume University professor murdered in cold blood by student. But obviously, you didn't actually do it, did you? Of course not. You have to believe me, I didn't do it. I could never murder someone. Then there's nothing to worry about. Straighten yourself up, hold your head high. You mean... I believe you. I know you're innocent, Ryunosuke. Kazuma Asoki, my best friend, also in his second year at Yume University, but he's far more clever than I. A star student, in fact. He's even a qualified lawyer. Impressive, considering he's still an under... Ich hab das nicht übersprungen. Hab da nichts gedrückt, wieso ist das weg? It's not that impressive. The very concept of lawyers is only a few years old, here in Japan anyways. Anyway, my qualifications don't mean much, yet. I said exactly the same thing 3 days ago, but I'm proud to have a friend like you, Kazuma, truly. 3 days ago, yes, that's when all this started. Congratulations, Kazuma. It looks like you're going to get to study abroad at least. I know, I've been forever dreaming of this day. Finally, those government elites have acknowledged my academic achievements and success in court. So, you will be presenting Japan as you immerse yourself in the most sophisticated legal system in the world. I'm really happy for you. I'm proud as your friend. There's not a soul in the university who doesn't know Kazuma's name. He's a living legend. It's like there's some mysterious aura billowing around his temple. I want to bring about change in our own legal system. That's why I have to cross the ocean to see the real thing with my own eyes. The heart of the British Empire. I wish I could see it too. Then come with me. We would have a wild time tearing up the streets of Her Majesty's City of London together. Sagt man Majesty oder Majesty? Majesties? If only it were that simple. Oh dear, look at the time. I better be going. Alright, I will see you later. I think I will stay and enjoy this place a while longer. Good idea. After all, it's not every day you get to visit a high-class Western restaurant like this. See you in English class tomorrow then, partner. Wie gesagt, manche englische Wörter werde ich leider falsch aussprechen, weil ich viele Wörter im Alltagsgebrauch einfach nicht brauche. It was straight after that. That's when it happened. Asogi, may I have a word? Professor, I didn't know you were coming. Well, this case has personal significance to me, but never mind that for now. Asogi, you should go immediately to the judge's chambers. To His Excellency's chambers? Why? He was looking for you before. You advocating for the defense in this trial was a sudden decision. It seems there may be some confusion about procedures today as a result. Who is this man? I feel as though I've seen him at the university before. I see. I will go at once then. I shall accompany you. Alright then, Ryunosuke. I will see you in the courtroom. Yes, thanks, Kazuma. Schweigen. Ooh, this is awkward. If I may. Yes, sorry. You must be the defendant, Ryunosuke Naruhodo, I believe. Yes, that's right. My name is Yuchin Mikudoba. I'm a professor of forensic medicine at Yume University. Ah, Professor Mikudoba. I've heard the name from Kazuma before. As I recall, he's been pushing to get the government to agree to Kazuma studying abroad. Asogi has told me about you. You and he are best friends, I understand. As such, I feel you should know... Know what? Well, as you've no doubt here, Asogi has been granted permission to go and study in Great Britain. However, if he should fail to defend you in today's trial, I'm afraid that that permission will be revoked and never granted again. What? Oh, as I suspected, you were unaware of this. I had a feeling Asogi may have chosen not to tell you. He's agreed to defend me, knowing that if he fails, his dreams will be shattered? But I don't understand. Why would the government do such a thing? The administration has to choose from a large number of applicants for overseas studies. It's very difficult to pursue them to grant permission, even in the most favorable of circumstances. I don't believe it. But I didn't do it. I swear it. I'm not a murderer. I'm sure that's true. Nevertheless, I can assure you that proving your innocence will be no easy task. You see, there are certain peculiarities about today's trial. Sorry? What do you mean? You will soon understand once proceedings get underway. But, what should I do? Well, naturally, I'm not going to suggest doing anything that could lead to a conviction. Right, so... As soon as the trial starts, the judge will pose a certain question to the defense. When that happens, you must answer before anyone else. You must say, I do. I do? But what will the question be? Surely not, Do you accept the accusations brought before you? Of course not. Defendant! Court is about to begin. Proceed to the courtroom at once. It would seem our surreptitious discussions are to be cut short. Nicht sicher, ob ich das richtig ausgesprochen habe. So allow me to summarize. Kazuma Isogi must not be the defense lawyer in this trial. Of course, as the defendant, the final decision is yours. What are you waiting for? Do you want to be found guilty for failing to appear? Get moving, there's no point in anyone advocating for the likes of you anyway. Mein Gott, sei nicht so gemein zu mir. This is it. If this trial goes badly, Kazuma's dreams of studying abroad are over. And what's more, I will be found guilty of murder. And so, with absolutely no idea of what lay ahead, I embarked on that unforgettable trial. My one and only chance of proving my innocence. The trial that would decide my destiny. Ich kann den Sound auch leider, ich kann das nicht überspringen hier, ne? Ich möchte kein Autoplay anmachen, weil ich dann eben nicht weiß, ob ich mit dem Vorlesen hinterherkomme. Oh mein Gott. Oh mein Gott, wie der guckt. Beruhig dich, Junge. Oh mein Gott. So, this is a courtroom. The Supreme Court of Judicature. No court in the land has more power. I don't much like the look of those people sitting in the public gallery. Lots of military and other uniforms in there. The powers that be have demanded that this be a secret trial. A secret trial? A trial that's closed to ordinary members of the public. Only military and government officials may attend. What? But why? It will become clear in time. But for now, you need to concentrate, Ryunosuke. It's about to begin. The court will now hear the trial of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. The prosecution is ready, Your Excellency, as is the defense. Before we begin, there is one point of order I would like to confirm. Yesterday evening, the defense made a last-minute request for a change of advocate. That's correct, Your Excellency. I made the request myself. Normal procedure is for the defendant's advocacy to be decided 2 days prior to trial. If this is an unusual circumstance, I'm obliged to ask for final confirmation now. Who advocates for the defendant in this trial? Das ist die Frage. Also sollen wir uns jetzt selber verteidigen? This is it. This must be the question. Who's going to defend me? That's the question the professor meant. But then, if I say I do, I need to answer quickly. What should I do? Auf geht's! Dann machen wir selber. Your Excellency, no confirmation is needed. As I'm standing here beside the defendant, I hope it's clear who will. What is the meaning of this unruly outburst? I would like to inform the court that I, Ryunosuke Naruhodo, will be defending myself. You will be what? What are you playing at, Ryunosuke? Oh, das hätte ich nicht Deutsch aussprechen können. Professor Mikotoba told me everything just now before the trial. He did what? He said that your dreams of studying abroad would be dashed if you were to lose. How sad. It means you don't have faith in me? You think I won't be able to get you off? No, it's not that. Really, it's just that, well, on the off chance that things don't go well for me, I couldn't bear to be the reason that you... Yes, I knew that's how you would feel, which is exactly why I decided to not to tell you. Professor Mikotoba shouldn't have stuck his nose in. Very well, the court hereby recognizes the defendant's desire to advocate for himself in today's trial. Well, does the accused admit defeat already? Renouncing his own counsel, really? Make no mistake, counsel. This merely shows that the defendant's innocence is so apparent he's confident he can speak for himself. Isn't that so, Naruhodo-san? Oh, yes, exactly. Oh mein Gott, der muss sich mal hier beruhigen. Exactly what I wasn't thinking. I'm not confident at all. In fact, my mind's a complete blank. I realize you're in charge now, but still, try not to look so bewildered. Well, for a mere university student to be brought before the Supreme Court, you must have perpetrated a most heinous crime indeed. As you are no doubt aware, this is the Supreme Court of Education. Ja. Ich hab's gerade übersprungen. Accordingly, the very highest standards of conduct are expected of all present. Do I make myself clear, Defendant Naruhodo? Yes, Your Excellency. It is therefore my duty to assess your competence for the task you have undertaken. My competence? What does that mean? He's questioning your ability to do the job. Well, he can't be questioning it more than I am. So let's start with the very simplest of questions. Oh, yes. Kindly state before the court the name of the victim in this case. Well, that's easy enough. I've heard his name more times than I would care to remember. But wait. I'm so nervous I can't even remember that. What was it again? Ryunosuke. Let me guess. Your mind's gone blank. You know me so well. All the relevant information for this case can be found in the court record. But I can't even find that. It's simple. You can access the court record with a press of E. If you ever find you've forgotten something, just consult that. It's all in there. I just have to press E for the court record. Alright, there's no time to lose. Ich klicke da immer so gerne drauf, deswegen werde ich das hier auch so machen. This is the list of evidence you've collected. Now try switching to people instead with E. You will find details about the victim in here. When you're done, just press C to go back. Gut, also gehe ich mal davon aus, dass hier das Victim ist. John H. Wilson, victim of this case. He was a visiting professor of medicine at Yuma University from the British Empire. Okay. So remember, everything to do with the current case can be found in a court record. Now, you would better not keep His Excellency waiting any longer. Go on. Find the victim in the people section of the court record, then press R to present. Try it now. The victim's name was Dr. John H. Wilson. Well, at least you can remember the name of an esteemed member of your own university. Dr. Wilson was a visiting professor from England, invited to Yuma University 3 years ago. Indeed, which is the reason why this case has such profound implications. The British Empire is at present our country's most valuable foreign ally, and as most of you will be aware, we have just signed a new treaty together after lengthy negotiations. There can't be anyone who hasn't heard of the Anglo-Japanese Treaty of Friendship and Navigation. And yet, despite these delicate circumstances, the blood of an Englishman has been spilled on our soil. You two are both undergraduates at the Imperial Yuma University, are you not? Murdering a professor from the very institute that provides your education. Have you no honor? But I didn't do it. This case is coming under great scrutiny from our allies on the other side of the world. The court therefore wishes for a speedy resolution to this matter. In other words, our feeble government is scared of upsetting England's policymakers. And you're a convenient and expendable scapegoat to blame for this crime. So that's why this trial has these unusual peculiarities, is it? Exactly. Our government needs to convict someone as quickly as possible. All because the victim was an Englishman. Yes, Dr. Wilson was an Englishman. But nationalities and treaties won't make any difference for me here. The fact is, I was there at the scene of the crime. Oh dear, look at the time. I better be going. Alright, I will see you later. I think I will stay and enjoy this place a little longer. Good idea. After all, it's not every day you get to visit a high-class Western restaurant like this. See you in English class tomorrow then, partner. The British Empire. Wow. It's incredible to think. Wait. I've seen that man at university. I'm sure he's a visiting professor from Great Britain. I don't know his name, but still, I should go and say hello. So I went over to the professor's table and introduced myself to Dr. Wilson. Now then, let me pose my next question to you, Defendant Naruhodo. Yes, Your Excellency. How did this professor of medicine, Dr. John H. Wilson, lose his life? State before the court the case of death. The cause of death. The cause of death. Well, obviously that was, Ryunosuke. Remember that in court, every assertion must be backed up by evidence. By evidence? But how? Find the piece of evidence that shows the professor's cause of death and select present. Do it now. Okay, Postmortem Report. Death occurred a little after 2 PM and was caused by loss of blood from a gunshot to the chest. The bullet did not pass through the victim's body. Well, according to this document, the victim suffered, hemorrhagic death due to gunshot trauma. Ich bin sehr froh, dass du das auch nicht lesen kannst, mein Freund. Learn to read, you imbecile. That's the Postmortem Report, I take it. Sorry, yes. That's right, the Postmortem Report. In the West, the doctor dissects corpses to identify the cause of death in an autopsy. But here in Japan, a police officer merely inspects the body and draws conclusions that way. Oh, I see. As long as I'm not going to be tested on any of this later. This is a so-called photographic print of the scene of the crime. You can clearly discern scorch marks around the bullet hole produced by the powder explosion. In other words, we should assume that the victim was shot at close range. Thank you, counsel. The court will accept this modern scientific evidence into the record. The photographic print of the victim has been entered into the court record. A photographic print that shows the victim. He was shot from the front and the chest and subsequently died. So that's a photographic print. Well, that's something I've never seen before. It's clearly superior to a drawing. The detail is incredible. Very well, I'm satisfied with your answers. Let us start the trial. Certainly, Your Excellency. So, without further ado, in order to better apprise the court with the facts of the case, the prosecution hereby calls its first witness who was there at the scene of the crime when it happened. This is it then. I think I may have worked out what the professor had in mind. The professor? You mean Dr. Mikotoba? Yes, clearly you're the defense lawyer today, not me, but that doesn't mean... Well, I can still act as your assistant. Ah, of course. When he was speaking with me before, he simply said, Kazumi Sogi must not be the defense lawyer in this trial. He really has been sticking his oar in, hasn't he? Maybe, but any help you can give me would be greatly appreciated, Kazuma. Well, my first piece of advice is, rein in that crazy look of bewilderment and control the cold sweets. Only if you rein in the crazy headband and control the cold stars first. Yeah. Witness, state your name and occupation for record, please. Of course, my name is Satoru Hosonaga. I'm the head waiter at a Western-style restaurant called Le Carnival. Le Carnival? Okay. Are you alright? You seem to be coughing up some, It's a regular occurrence. It really doesn't bother me. Well, it really should. As everyone knows, the capital's southeastern quarter was developed for foreign visitors some years ago. It's become a very fashionable district now, full of hotels to accommodate overseas guests. This grim crime occurred in one of the district's so-called restaurants, an Occidental eatery 3 days ago. Understood. Hosonaga-san, you will kindly tell the court everything you can about the incident. At once, sir. And no pity interjections from the aspiring lawyer boy, please. Perspiring? Maybe, but aspiring? It was just after 2 PM on the day in question. We have few diners at diners at that time of day. The lunchtime rush was over, and there were only 3 tables still occupied. That fits in with my memory of it too. There was hardly anyone else in the place. It was when I was in the kitchen putting away crockery and cluttery. A gunshot rang out, so I hurried out to the dining area to see what had happened. I found the victim, an English gentleman, slumped in his chair. And standing immediately beside him, gun in hand, was the accused university student. Hold on, let me just clarify something here. While I did pick up a gun that I found lying on the floor besides the professor, I didn't shoot him. I believe I ask you to refrain from petty interjections. The court wishes to listen to the witness report of what he saw, you amateur. But the next time you interrupt at an inappropriate time, you will be penalized, defended Naruhodo. Don't worry, Ryunosuke, you will have your chance to fight back. For now, we must just quietly listen to the witness. If I may confirm one point, waiter, standing beside the victim with a gun in his hand was the same man we see here in court today. Yes, without question. I see. And apart from the accused, was there anyone else standing beside the victim? No. There was no one else around the table but the deceased Englishman and the university student. Wait, what did he just say? There was no one else around the table? What's the matter, Ryunosuke? That's just not right. When I went over to Dr. Wilson to say hello, there was a woman sitting opposite him at his table. Really? And that's not something the waiter could have missed. I've been warned about interjection, but still, what should I do? Ich meine, die Frage ist jetzt, wie handelt das Game? Also, sind wir jetzt schon in einem ja, Kreuzverhör? Oder noch nicht? Eigentlich kommt das Kreuzverhör später, ne? Ich werde mal gucken, was passiert. Just a moment, please. Dr. Wilson wasn't alone that day. I'm sure of it. There was a lady sitting with him at the same table. Dear me, what are we going to do with you? With your blatant disregard for court proceedings, I'm beginning to wonder if you're not a fraud. Could it be that the accused, this mere student, is not a real lawyer after all? But I'm sure of what I saw. Hosonaga-san, is there any chance you're mistaken? Perhaps your memory of events is... No. The deceased gentleman came to dine alone. I don't believe it. I actually have a rough plan of the restaurant as it was the day. Please have a look if you would like to. Let me see. Oh, a sketch of the establishment's layout drawn by yourself, I presume. That's right. I'm afraid I used the back of my business card. It was a turbulent situation. However, as you can see, the gentleman in question was seated alone. Well, you're clearly a very conscientious waiter. Yeah, suspicious auch noch. Thank you, sir. The court will take this plan and add it to the court record as evidence. Well, is there a problem? Hand the plan to the court officer at once. Of course, here you are. What was that about? He's been completely calm and collected until now. Something certainly seems to have shaken him. The waiter's business card has been entered into the court record. Das heißt, auf dieser Karte muss irgendwas zu finden sein, was nicht passt. Ich das jetzt mal überspringen, damit der Gute mal wieder aufhört zu husten hier. So, the court has now heard a precise of the case. Yes, at the moment the gunshot was heard in the restaurant. The only person in close proximity to the victim was the defendant on trial today. It would seem we are looking at a black and white case here. Defendant Naruhodo? Yes, Your Excellency. If you admit your guilt at this stage, the court is willing to look mercifully upon you. In other words, you may have some small reprieve in terms of your inevitable punishment. I called this waiter as an unsworn witness in order to explain the details of the case to the court. But I must warn the defense. If you are determined to pursue matters further in this trial, the prosecution has decisive evidence from sworn witnesses who were present at the scene of the crime. What do you think I should do, Kazuma? What do you mean? Well, I'm going to be found guilty one way or another, it seems. Wouldn't it be sensible to plead guilty at this stage and hope for a more lenient sentence? Everyone keeps telling me that this trial is unusual about these peculiarities. You've said it, Professor Mikotoba said it, and so has the judge and the prosecution. I'm scared of what lies ahead if I push this. As I said from the outset, I believe you're innocent. I trust you. And yet, despite knowing that, you're willing now to throw that trust back in my face? Is that it? What? If the accused is in fact innocent, then a defense lawyer is duty-bound to prove that innocence by whatever means necessary. Are you just going to abandon that duty? Are you going to give up on yourself? The battle hasn't even begun yet, Ryunosuke. The defense pleads not guilty, Your Excellency. We invite the prosecution to stop making empty threats and bring out its witnesses. Then we will see just how decisive this evidence really is. Indeed. Prosecutor Archie, please continue with proceedings. Well, you were warned. The young can be so reckless. You know, many call me a saint, but I can be a devil when I want to be. In a few short moments from now, that dumbstruck young mouth of yours will be silenced forever. The prosecution calls its next witnesses. Very well, officer, bring forth the witnesses at once. Witnesses, kindly state your names and occupations for the court. Yes, sir. The Great Nippon Imperial Army Sergeant Liesa Nossa reporting for duty, sir. Myself, I find employ a superior of fine articles of antiquity. Antiquity. From the efflorescence of our nation, Nippon, and conduct my trade from Rasute, a humble premises in the 2nd district. Kyuryo Korekuta at your service. Japanischen Namen spreche ich übrigens auch alle komplett falsch aus. An antique dealer and a soldier? What an unusual pairing. Both of these gentlemen were present at the restaurant on the day in question. They must be the diners at the other table that the waiter mentioned. Myself, I habitually take tea of the most exquisite aroma at the establishment in question, always post-noon, and not infrequently converse with interested parties regarding the couriers with which I make my business. I can't understand a word that old man is saying. He's an antique dealer, and it sounds like he's a regular at La Carnival. He seeks out potential customers who may have an interest in antiques and tries to sell his wares to them. He obviously targets La Carnival because it's a high-class restaurant with rich clientele. Right, I see. Also, to be honest, that surgeon looks more like he would be a seller rather than a buyer. Now you both witnessed the precise moment of this most atrocious incident. Is that correct? Affirmative. The enemy unit was seen attacking the foreigner in what can only be described as an act of war, sir. It was that black uniformed rogue infantryman over there who unloaded his firearm, sir. This man's as impossible to understand as the other. But I'm almost sure I heard a strange noise during that last thing he said. So this is the decisive evidence the prosecution was threatening. The soldier is claiming that he actually saw the precise moment you shot the victim dead. Yes. Well, are you starting to feel uncomfortable? If I'm honest, I was feeling uncomfortable from the start. Now, the court will hear your formal testimony, please. You will state everything you saw at the precise moment that the incident occurred. Sir, yes sir, standing by ready to report, sir. Unsavory memories of a most acerbic afternoon. Okay. What the witness saw. I was ingesting a regulation beef steak at the restaurant while having a tactical discussion with the old man. Myself, I was extolling the virtues of a particularly fine golden curio to the military gentleman. At that precise moment, a firearm was discharged. I observed the enemy's actions with my own eyes. The black uniformed varsity cadet fired on the English civilian, and from the back the cowardly little weasel. Das ist ein Widerspruch, nicht? Der wurde in die Brust geschossen. I was on my hands and knees investigating the whereabouts of my mysteriously absconded precious curio. Well, so you Sergeant Noza actually witnessed the vital moment. You saw the split second when the defendant fired the weapon at the victim. Yes, sir. Affirmative, sir. That wicked university cadet, sir. The cruel and unforgivable enemy. Ich liebe es, wie hier immer so Babygeheule mit da drin ist. What times we live in when an English gentleman may be assailed in the broad light of day. But this is ridiculous. I didn't shoot anyone. Is that really true, Ryunosuke? Yes, all I did was pick up the gun that I saw lying on the floor. After I would say hello to Dr. Wilson, I went back to my table and sat drinking some coffee. Then, when I'd finished, I got up from my seat to leave the restaurant, when I noticed an English-made gun next to the chair where the professor was sitting. I thought perhaps the professor had dropped it. So I bent down, and just as I was picking it up... Well, if that's the truth, there was obviously a criminal on the scene somewhere. And somewhere in these two witnesses' testimonies, there's a clue as to who the criminal was. There is. Ryunosuke, you must exercise your right to cross-examine the witnesses. Cross-examine? Do it now. As we have heard, Your Excellency, there is no room for doubt in the testimony of these witnesses. The defendant is clearly guilty. It is time to bring this despicable student to justice. Certainly, the testimony the court has just heard eliminates any vestige of doubt. Therefore, it is my grave duty to declare the verdict of... What in the name of Emperor is the meaning of this outburst? I mean, the defense demands its right to a cross-examination. Dear me, let me guess. The Hachimaki headband boy next door told me to do it. How pathetic. How did he know? The prosecution objects. This is a clear waste of time. The defendant obviously has no experience. How can he possibly carry out a cross-examination? The defense is asserting its right to cross-examination. Whether or not you think he's capable of it, it is irrelevant. Kazuma is so commanding. Very well. Let the defense conduct a cross-examination of the witnesses. Alright, this is where the battle really begins, Ryunosuke. But I don't even know what I have to do in a cross-examination. Isn't it obvious? You have to expose the lies in the witnesses' statements. How? You didn't fire the gun, which means what that soldier said has to be a lie. Well, yes, but it's just a case of proving it, and the key of doing that is evidence. Right, evidence. All you need to do is present some decisive and indisputable evidence that proves that witness is lying. Ich merke bei mir selber schon so viele Vorlesefehler, aber in meinem Brain weiß ich leider nicht, wie ich es richtig ausspreche. Now let's go, Ryunosuke. Don't let them beat you. Alright then. It's all or nothing. Das war ja süß, wie ganz sanft er auf den Tisch geschlagen hat hier. Okay, what the witnesses saw. Was in Beefsteak, bla 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 bla. Das ist irrelevant. I was extending the witch. Das ist irrelevant. At that precise moment, the firearm was discharged. I observed the enemy's action with my own eyes. The black uniformed varsity cadet fired on the English and from the back. So, hier, from the back. Das ist ein Widerspruch, weil dieses Foto deutlich aufzeigt, dass er in die Brust aus nächster Nähe geschossen wurde. What are you playing at, cadet? What is the meaning of this subordination? Bursting some photographic print in my mustache. Inconsistencies, sir. I mean, yes. There's a clear inconsistency here. What nonsense. What can this print possibly tell us that we don't already know? Well, obviously, that, I know what I want to say, but the words just won't come out of my mouth. I think this proves beyond any doubt, Your Excellency, that there is no place for an amateur student here in this grand courtroom. This is so frustrating. Oh, please. Surely this doesn't require an explanation. It couldn't be more plain. To spell it out would be an insult to the court. Kazuma, what are you talking about? It's apparent from a single glance at the photographic print presented by the defense that there is a clear discrepancy here with the sergeant's statement. What? Sergeant Ryunosuke. Yes, sir. What, sir? The statement you just made was this. The black uniformed varsity cadet fired on the English civilian, and from the back, the cowardly little weasel. Yes, sir. Affirmative, sir. I witnessed the crime with my own military-grade eyes, sir. But no, that just can't be. And why not, cadet? Because... Take a close look at the print. The victim, Dr. Wilson, died from a bullet wound to the chest. Sergeant, according to your witness statement, the culprit shot the victim from behind. Culprit? Oh, ich weiß gar nicht, wie man das Wort Mörder auf Englisch ausspricht. And that is the obvious discrepancy here. Well, how do you explain it? Oh, ach, da kommt das Babygeräusch her. Jetzt ist aufgefallen. What was that? Something just popped up from behind his back, but he pushed it down again. Certainly, there is a clear discrepancy with the facts here. Would you not agree, Sergeant Nosa? Yes, sir. At this juncture, that would appear to be indisputable. Until the moment I heard the firearm discharge, my eyes were firmly fixed on the delicious La Carnival steak, sir. What? The last testimony in the court here has proven one thing beyond all reasonable doubt. This witness, Sergeant Ryunosuke, did not see the defendant firing a gun at all. That's absurd. I think the conclusion we must draw is simple. There is no place for an amateur prosecutor here in this grand courtroom. There's been a complete turnabout in the mood of this trial just from that one discrepancy. So this is what being an ace attorney is all about. But I definitely saw him. That university cadet there, he was pointing the firearm directly at the victim's back. But I never fired the gun. All I did was pick it up off the floor. And you, old man, you didn't see the moment the victim was shot either. Myself, I have already been quite clear. The gunshot interested me not. I was far too busy on the floor. Too busy on the floor? Sorry, what were you doing? Hunting for treasure. Treasure? Indeed, the Hoi Era Koban, my prize coin. On each occasion when I visit the restaurant, it is my habit to place in my bosom pocket the particular trinket of interest from my shop, Razute. In the hope of meeting a rich diner who might like to buy it from you? On the day under scrutiny, it was the military man that I proffered my Hue treasure. Gott, ey, ich mach so viele Aussprachfehler, es tut mir so furchtbar leid. Believed that he would purchase such a rare find, I did not, but I was presented with little alternative. And then, after averting my eyes for the briefest of moments, was there no more, it simply vanished. The Koban vanished? Hunting around under the table I was, in case mayhap it had fallen there, and then it happened. You heard the gunshot, you mean? Indeed I did, but I heeded it not, for I was concerned only with finding my absconded Hoi treasure. Nothing could distract me. Out of interest, did you find the coin in the end? No. I see. That lamentable day, the precious Hoi Koban was lost to me. No doubt someone unscrupulous scoundrel pocketed the prize coin for himself. As I'm sure everyone present is aware, this case demands a swift and decisive resolution. Our government has promised to send a full report to Great Britain by telegraph this very afternoon. Nevertheless, the witness testimony the court has just heard was inconclusive, no matter how subservient our government feels it must be to the British. It would be unforgivable to deliver a verdict on this trial right now. What is your position, Prosecutor Archie? Ich lese ihn halt Archie. Ich glaube, Archie wird er ausgesprochen, nicht Auchi. Archie. Oder? Archie. Ich bin so darauf konzentriert, ich bin so im Englischmodus drin, dass ich überhaupt gar nicht darüber nachdenke, wie man irgendwas auf Japanisch ausspricht. Ich glaube, Archie wird er ausgesprochen, nicht Auchi. Ich sage immer Auchi oder irgendwie so, ne? Ich glaube, Archie spricht man das aus. Worry not, Your Excellency. The defendant may have fled a tiger at the front gate, but he will find a wolf at the back. My witnesses have further testimony to make. Explain. Upon hearing their next statements, it will become abundantly clear that there is only one person who could possibly have committed this despicable crime. The equally despicable defendant Ryunosuke Naruhodo. What? He really seems to have a despicable opinion of you, doesn't he? Despicable. Very well, the court invites the witnesses to testify again. You will thoroughly explain the reasoning behind the prosecution's allegation. Is that clear? As clear as Kiriko glass, Your Excellency. Yes, sir, at once, sir. Awaiting signal to testify, sir. Excuse me, but there's something or someone peeking out over your shoulder, I think. Affirmative, the newest member of the Nolza family to rise up through the ranks, sir. Name, Ido. It would seem those straps are a sign of the surgeon being too strapped to afford a nanny. Ido. Tin Shun. Your father is about to quell the enemy. Watch and learn, my boy. Habe ich echt die ganze Zeit Auchi? Ich glaube, aber Auchi habe ich hier noch nicht die ganze Zeit ausgesprochen, oder? Auchi? Als hätte er ein Aua. Ich glaube, Achi spricht man das aus. Even if what I saw wasn't the precise moment of the moment the firearm was discharged, it's almost the same thing. Yes, pointing his gun at the furry mane he was, that young lad in black, that much I self did see. Furthermore, a visual search of the premises at the time confirmed that we were the only personnel present. Indeed, alone he was, the Englishman, dining all by himself. Therefore, no one other than the black uniform cadet could have dispatched the Englishman. Over and out. Wait, that's nonsense. The victim, Dr. Wilson, wasn't alone at all. Please, enough of these outbursts already. But there was a woman, there was a young woman at his table. You must have seen her, everyone there must have seen her. If you call yourself a lawyer, then you will respect the rules of the court and speak accordingly. We are not here to listen to your fantasies. It is evidence beyond all reasonable doubt that the victim was alone at the time of the incident. The prosecution has photographic evidence of this fact. Is this a photographic print of the scene of the crime, counsel? Indeed, of the table at which the victim was dining, taken by an investigator immediately after the incident. As can plainly be seen, there is only one place set. Thirdly, based on the appearance of this print, it would be reasonable to conclude that the victim was not in the company of anyone else. This doesn't make any sense. The court will add this new photographic evidence to the record. Okay. Bottle of carbonated water and steak lunch can be seen on the victim's table. Ja, aber ich meine, man kann ja trotzdem am Tisch sitzen und mit jemandem reden, ohne irgendwas zu bestellen. I don't understand. What's going on here? It's just not possible that nobody else saw that woman. The waiter before said the same thing. He maintains that Dr. Wilson came to the restaurant alone as well. But that's not true. I saw her. I swear that I saw a woman with him. It would seem that we will be able to telegraph the report to Great Britain on time after all. The witness testimonies we have just heard leave no further room for doubt. These are very sensitive political times, as we all know. The ink is still fresh on the treaty with Great Britain. To think that I... Oh nee. Ich traue mich nicht, den Namen auszusprechen. Ich werde das wieder falsch aussprechen. Ich glaube Achi ist richtig. Will have contributed to the amity of these two great empires as is an honor. Aber ich denke, ich werde mal, wenn ich mit dem Aufnehmen fertig bin, vielleicht mal gucken, ob ich das irgendwie rausfinde, wie man den Namen richtig ausspricht. How can this be happening? The judge is ready to rule. Stand tall, Ryunosuke. It's not over yet. What? If what you say is true, then there's something going on here, behind the scenes. And now is your chance to expose it. To draw out the truth in your cross-examination. I don't know, Kazuma. The defense is entitled to cross-examine the witnesses, but make it quick, understood? Rules can be so unbending at times. Okay. Pointing his gun from where he was. Okay. There were more visual search of the premises at the time confirmed that we were the only present. You must have noticed someone else at Dr. Wilson's table. There was a lady there. As you have been at pains to point out time and again, I feel I'm growing a colors in my ear. And yet, no one else appears to have caught even a glimpse of this woman. If only there would have been more people dining there at the time, then someone else would have noticed her. Unfortunately, it was already past 2 p.m. when it happened. A quiet time between lunch and dinner in any restaurant. I know, of course, the place was almost empty. It's what you would expect. Certainly, 2 p.m. is neither here nor there in terms of a time to eat. I wonder if there was a reason why the victim was eating at that time of day and why he was alone. Yes, Your Excellency, there was indeed a reason. There was? This was found in the victim's jacket pocket. What is that, Counsel? It is a medical report card, Your Excellency. It would seem that the victim had an appointment at a clinic prior to visiting the restaurant. At a clinic. Yes, there would indeed appear to be an entry for the date in question. What a clinic? Clinic. Okay. The very day of the incident. So the victim went for a late lunch following his appointment. The explanation couldn't be more simple. The prosecution felt no need to submit this evidence before, as it really has no bearing on the case. I wonder, what do you think, Ryunosuke? Well, it is hard to see how it could be related, really. Remember, you can request for it to be entered into the court record as evidence if you think it could be useful. Should I ask for Dr. Wilson's medical report card to be submitted as evidence or not? Yes. If I may, I would like to ask for that medical report card to be submitted as evidence, Your Excellency. On what grounds? The court has already heard conclusive witness testimony. Additional evidence would be Damn it! Das übersprungen. Not to mention that the victim's movements prior to his arrival at the restaurant are of no concern. Whether or not they are of concern is up to us to decide. We have a right to explore all possible avenues. I beg your pardon. You have no authority to refuse a perfectly valid request for the submission of evidence. Very well, the court will grant the defense requests. Youngsters these days are forever asserting their rights. It's a most disturbing trend. Officer, kindly add the victim's medical report card to the court record. Okay. What we need right now is new clues. We have to explore things from every possible angle, even if they don't seem relevant at first. Right, I hear you. You can conspire to prolong this trial as much as you like, but it's the day after the festival already for you. Or perhaps you'd forgotten that these witness testimonies leave no room for doubt. Feel free to reiterate for the accused Korakuta-san. Dining all by himself. Therefore, no one other than him could have dispatched. Ich würde mir gerne mal... Ach, ich kann mir den gar nicht weiter angucken. Okay. Ich kann mir das leider nicht weiter durchlesen. Jetzt ist die Frage... Kann ich mir... Ah, hier, examine. Okay, entry. Ach, hier kann ich mir das sogar größer angucken. Das ist cool. Okay, Kitchen. I guess it's a bit basics. Aber... Ach, ich kann auch einfach nur mit Linksklick drauf machen, dann sieht er sich das auch größer an, das Bild. Aber wieso, also ist das hier sein Tisch? Wieso ist er überhaupt andersrum da drauf? Also wieso ist der Stuhl da so weggedreht? Ja gut, das könnt ihr natürlich auch, wenn ihr jetzt Investigation gemacht haben. Ist das natürlich auch möglich, dass die den da umgedreht haben. Time of death shortly after 2 p.m. Cause of death single blown. No exit wound. Bullet did not pass through the body. Wo ist hier der Widerspruch, den ich brauche? Excellent work, Ryunosuke. We've gleaned some new information now. Well, yes, but I don't feel like it changes much. I can't see that it brings any really discrepancies to light. I wouldn't be so sure. Let me see that medical report card you got before. Oh, you mean this? Yes, this is a brand new piece of evidence. So perhaps we should examine it in a little more detail. How exactly? Oh, okay, jetzt bekommen wir das Tutorial dafür, okay. You will notice that some pieces of evidence bear a magnifying glass. These are the ones you may examine. Press space and you can take a closer look at the piece in question. Use... Ah, okay, mit den Pfeiltasten kann ich das dann drehen. To rotate the evidence in all directions and examine it from all angles. By using... You can move the crosshair around to hunt for clues that may have been missed before. If the crosshair starts to pulsate, press space to investigate further. So, partner, I think you should take a closer look at this medical report card. See if there isn't something new to be learned by examining it in more detail. Alright, I will see what I can do. I need to use land space to inspect any areas of the evidence that look suspicious. Okay, dann, also drehen kann ich jetzt auch mit der Maustaste schon mal. Okay, aber ich schätze mal dann, okay, also, und Space, It says Hotta clinic and this medical report card. I hate clinics almost as much as I hate hospitals and surgeries. Aren't they all the same? When I was 5, I caught the only cold I ever had in my life. And I remember, even though I felt awful already, I had to have this hideous injection in my right arm. I will never forget it, never in my whole life. Most people would give their right arm to have had only one cold in their whole life. Anyway, I don't think this is a clinic where they treat people for illnesses like that. Let's keep looking for clues. We don't want to miss anything. It looks like this medical report card was first issued quite some time ago. It's probably a record of long-term treatment, that's why. With a family doctor, I imagine. Well, I can't imagine. Going to a doctor, I mean. As long as I'm alive, I'm never consulting one. Well, if you were dead, there would be no point, so you don't like doctors then? Why would you? They make you drink horrible tasting medicine, they give you painful injections, and then they demand lots of money from you for the privilege, all when you're at your lowest ebb. You sound like a model patient. With a bad case of stubbornness, no less, for which the only cure is very bitter medicine indeed. Let's have a look. This is some kind of medical history. And there's an entry for the day the professor was killed. Extraction of molar with topical anesthesia. Extraction of molar? You mean he had a tooth taken out? It would seem so. Just before the incident, he had a bad tooth removed. Perhaps they used laughing gas. That's the most modern practice in the West for pain relief. Yes, I've heard of this anesthesia, although it's hard to believe there's anything that can actually stop you feeling pain. Oh, there's a cautionary note from the medical practitioner? Ist das richtig? As well. Strictly no food or drink besides water for 3 hours post-procedure until anesthesia effects have passed. Really? Sounds like information worth bearing in mind. The medical report card information has been updated in the court record. Okay, also warum soll er sich da jetzt ein Steak bestellen, wenn er eigentlich gar nicht essen darf, nachdem er seinen Zahn gezogen bekommen hat? With this new information, and the meaning of that one particular statement totally changes. So I think it's time we listen to the testimony again, don't you? Definitely. Even if what I saw wasn't the precise moment the firearm was the shot, it's almost the same thing. Yes, The rumor was the certain at the confirmed that we were the only person present. Okay, indeed alone he was the Englishman dining all by himself. Also eigentlich müsste ich doch den hier vorzeigen, oder? Weil ich wüsste sonst nicht, wo ich ihn sonst vorzeigen sollte. Weil hier steht ja, dass er alleine gegessen hat. Aber in diesem Report steht ja drin, dass er eigentlich noch gar nichts hätte essen dürfen. Ich präsentiere das jetzt einfach. Ich meine, wir haben ja mehr als ein Leben. Ich mag das nur mal nicht, wenn ich ein Leben verliere. Well, I think, about what are you wittering, lad? Call yourself a lawyer? I wish I could. But first and foremost here, I am the accused. Ryunosuke. Everyone stumbles on their words occasionally. Under the circumstances, I wouldn't worry about it. Thanks, Kazuma. I could see it quite clearly in the cross-examination you just carried out, when you raised your hand straight up like that, so purposefully. You knew exactly what it was you wanted to say. Don't feel like you have to choose your words carefully. Just say what you're thinking. Alright, and thanks for the advice. Korakuta-san, this is a medical report card belonging to the victim. Oh, I see, and I don't see. What of it, boy? Comparing what is written on this report card with your witness statement, something clearly doesn't add up. Dear me, have you forgotten my words so soon, you amateur? Sorry, what? You're not to interrupt court proceedings with your amateurish drivel. But let's see if I can explain in words you might understand. It was after 2 PM in the afternoon when the victim was murdered at the restaurant. Whatever he may or may not have done before that time is completely irrelevant. But that's, remember, Ryunosuke, you don't have to use clever language or fancy words. Just make your point. Your Excellency, I believe we're finished here. There is surely no need to prolong this trial further. The witness testimonies the court has heard have been clear and concise. This medical report card has no bearing on the matter at all, for the simple reason that there is no one else besides this. This medical report card has nothing to do with the case. Do you really believe that? That outburst half petrified me, boy. Of course I believe it. How could it possibly be relevant? Perhaps because Hata Clinic, which issued the report card, is a dental clinic. A dental clinic? Is that supposed to mean something to me? Perhaps if I told you that the victim had just a tooth extracted. What's this now? And furthermore, if I told you that as a result the victim had been forbidden from eating. Just what are you trying to say, Cadet? He had orders not to eat, so what? It's all written up in here. No food or drink other than water for 3 hours post-procedure while anesthesia wears off. No, that can't. Korakuta-san. What, boy? What? As you just heard, when he was killed sometime shortly after 2 PM, the victim couldn't have been eating anything at all. Additionally, there's more. You have assured the court with unwavering self-confidence that the victim was dining alone. But that cannot possibly be the case. Jetzt hier endlich mal ein richtiger Slamdesk. Because the victim, as we know now, had just had one of his teeth extracted and was still experiencing the effects of the anesthetic. Expertly done, partner. What is this nonsense, you little upstart? These are baseless accusations. Just look at this photographic evidence. You can clearly see the plate of food at the victim's table. Use your head. That's the very discrepancy we're talking about, or can't you follow the logic? Oh, how dare you! I think it's fair to say that the tables in this restaurant case have turned. Wouldn't you agree, Ryunosuke? Yes, most definitely. So, having just undergone some dental surgery, the victim was unable to eat. Which leaves one very crucial conundrum. Who in fact was eating the picture beefsteak? The court will hear the opinion of the defense on this new puzzle. I assume you're ready, counsel. Counsel? Oh, that means me, doesn't it? Alright, the answer to this question is going to be pivotal. Wow, ich glaube, das Wort habe ich noch nie in meinem Leben ausgesprochen. This is the start of your turning this trial around. Show them what you're made of. Got it. So, the person eating the steak at the victim's table must have been an as yet unknown third party. Obviously, it can only have been someone else who has sitting at the professor's table. You will not let this go, will you? There was no such person. There was, because I saw her. When the incident occurred, we know that the victim couldn't have been eating anything, yet we have evidence of a half-eaten steak on his table. Therefore, the only logical conclusion is that there was somebody else there eating it. We have strong evidence to support our assertion. It's clear that these witness testimonies are unreliable. If the court decides to push through a ruling at this stage, we will lodge a formal complaint with the Ministry of Justice and pursue a fair retrial relentlessly. Kazuma, are you insane? You would take on the government? Don't worry, counsel. I have no issue with you. What do you mean? I have issue with them. Those two witnesses in the stand. What are you talking about? We have demonstrated with evidence that the victim was not alone. So, if it now turns out that the two of you deliberately lied when giving your testimonies, obviously you will be charged with perjury. And since this is a murder trial, you will also be deemed complicit in the killing. Negative. There was no mention of this at the technical meeting. I was just following orders. That's right, as the man says. Just say you never saw the gentlewoman. That's what they told us. Oh. What? What did you just say, Korekuta-san? No. You were just following orders? No, hold on, lad. I was, Say you never saw the gentlewoman? When you say gentlewoman, do you mean you saw the victim with a lady from overseas? What is the meaning of all this? These witnesses gave false statements. Is this true, you pair? Just one simple slip of the tongue. Order. Counsel, explain what is going on here. It's painfully clear now. You tried to prevent these witnesses from telling the truth. Absolutely not. The prosecution knows nothing of this. Then who's behind this? Who tried to make you keep your mouth shut? Well, that's classified. So you're prepared to be tried as a conspirator to this murder, are you? You wouldn't. This can't be happening. Judging from the way they are reacting to this, I would say they were sworn to silence by someone with considerably influence. However, I don't believe Achi had any idea about it. What are you saying? I mean, to wield that kind of influence, there are only a handful of possibilities. It could only have been the government, the military, or the police, I suppose. Well, any ideas about who might be behind this? If we can affirm who tried to silence these witnesses, then we can continue our pursuit. So we need to name whoever it was that tried to make the witnesses keep their mouths shut? Of course we will need evidence before we make any firm accusations. Evidence that proves whoever it was really did wield his or her power here. But how? How can we possibly remember how we made progress before? We examined this piece of evidence in more detail and found a new clue as a result. Oh, yes, that's right. Well, that's not the only piece of evidence we have, is it? We need to re-examine everything and make sure there's nothing we have missed. There's no time to lose. I want answers. If it's proven that these witnesses have been manipulated, I assure you that penalty will be served. Please wait, Your Excellency. I had no idea about any of this. I swear to every Shinto god, I knew nothing. And what does the defense have to say about all this? Well, Your Excellency, no time to think. I'm just going to have to close my eyes and shout out the first name that comes into my head. Besides the prosecution, the only person with the necessary influence to manipulate the witnesses is... Okay. Ich glaube... Oder... Ich meine, wer soll es denn sonst sein? Es kann ja nur dieser Kellner gewesen sein. Ich würde aber jetzt trotzdem sehr, sehr gerne vorher... Ich habe es falsch gedrückt. Ich wollte die Visitenkarte gerade untersuchen. Aber es ist offensichtlich, wenn du jetzt nur diese Leute zur Auswahl hast, kommt nur der Kellner in Frage. Und der hatte sich ja auch sehr, sehr komisch verhalten, als er die Visitenkarte uns übergeben musste. Deswegen wollte ich das jetzt eigentlich gerade untersuchen. Und ich werde das jetzt machen, bevor wir hier weitermachen. Werde ich jetzt diese Karte untersuchen. So. Das gehen wir jetzt einmal durch, bevor wir hier weitermachen. This plan of the restaurant raises a number of questions, I think. Definitely. It's supposed to show the relative position of everything in the moments following the incident. But there's nothing to show the woman you say you saw there. Exactly, and that's not all. Look here in the upper left where it says kitchen. Oh, yes. What of it? No one would use these complicated characters to write kitchen, especially not if they were in a hurry. You mean you don't remember those characters yourself, don't you? Study harder, Ryunosuke. This plan of the restaurant raises a number of questions, I think. Definitely. It's supposed to show the relative position of everything in the moments following the incident. But there's nothing to show the woman you say you saw. Ah, okay. Da kommt jetzt immer nur das Gleiche. Das heißt, ich muss eine bestimmte Ecke wahrscheinlich hier untersuchen. Moment, ich kann das ja auch drehen, ne? Ups. Nein, halt. Yeah. Well, that's unexpected. What is? Look, do you see it says the witness's name here? Satoru Hosonaga. Well, yes, business cards tend to show the person's name. That's sort of the point. It's not the name that's unexpected, it's his job title. His job? Oh. Chief Inspector Satoru Hosonaga, Primary Criminal Investigation Division, Imperial Police Bureau. Inspector? What on earth? I have no idea, but let's face it, the police have a lot of power and influence. If they are wielding it somehow here... Waiter's business card information has been updated in the court record. Okay, so, und jetzt können wir zurückgehen. Also, er ist ein Inspektor bei der Polizei. Surely that would be Satoru Hosonaga-san. Hosonaga-san, the waiter who took the stand earlier. Poppycock. What possible reason would the waiter have to make these witnesses give false testimony? Not to mention the fact that even a head waiter could not possibly have that level of influence. For once, I would agree with you. If, that is, the man truly were a waiter. If he truly were. Come on, Ryunosuke, time to hit this court with the truth. The truth about Satoru Hosonaga-san's real identity as proven by this evidence. The plan of the restaurant sketched by the man in question. I agree, it shows a great deal of attention to detail, but I'm not sure we can conclude anything. Sorry, Your Excellency, that's the back of the card. It's the back of the card that's of interest. I beg your pardon. Or perhaps I should have said the front. Yes, it's the front of the back of the card. That's where the telling detail... Hör doch auf, das so kompliziert zu erklären. Sag ihm doch einfach, soll die Karte umdrehen. Oh mein Gott. Would somebody please explain what this overexcited student is trying to say? Hosonaga-san sketched the plan of the restaurant on the reverse side of his business card. The front of that business card reveals the man in question's profession, his true profession. The waiter's profession? But that's surely... Good gracious. That's right, Your Excellency. The card reads Chief Inspector, Primary Criminal Investigation Division, Imperial Police Bureau. What? The waiter is a police detective? I haven't heard any mention of this before. Why haven't I heard any mention of this before? The Imperial Police Bureau has immense power, absolutely power as far as regular civilians are concerned. So, witnesses, they're in the stand. Was it in fact the waiter who gave you your orders? Was it he who told you not to mention that you'd seen this foreign gentlewoman at the scene? Well... Inspector Hosonaga. I was worried something like this may happen. The moment you asked me to submit my sketch as evidence, I realized it was a possibility. Yes, I remember now. He did act strangely when the judge asked him to hand over his business card. I strive to carry out all investigations flawlessly. It's my guiding principle, but I let myself be distracted when I made that sketch. It was an unusual, careless mistake. So you mean to say you really are a detective? But why would a detective be working as a restaurant waiter? Of course, your salary was... I was working undercover. Undercover? Yes, there have been a series of incidents at the restaurant recently. In order to investigate, I decided to get a job there as a waiter, working undercover. Incidents at the restaurant? What kind of incidents? That would be classified police information, which I'm not at liberty to divulge. However, I can state categorically that they are unrelated to this case of homicide. Very well then, Inspector Hosonaga, but you will elaborate at one point for the court. Of course, Your Excellency. We have just heard new information from the two witnesses beside you. That at the time of the shooting there was in fact another person present at the victim's table. If that is indeed true, clearly you would also have been aware of this person's presence, having served at the table in question. However, your testimony did not allude to this other diner. Therefore, I am led to assume that in your professional capacity as a police officer, you require these witnesses to be in agreement. Would that be correct? Correct, Your Excellency. Unbelievable. As I suspected. As soon as I heard the gunshot, I ran out of the kitchen to see what had happened. The victim sat slumped in his chair, and beside him, gun in hand, stood the accused student. Sitting opposite the victim at the same table was a young lady, whom I guessed to be an Englishwoman. So the truth comes out. I immediately sealed off the restaurant and reported the incident to the bureau. It was then that I received some special orders. Special orders? You mean to say, remove the Englishwoman from the scene at once? It was made clear that the Englishwoman's presence at the restaurant was to be concealed. Those were my orders. But what if this Englishwoman was the killer? I think it would be in everyone's best interests not to pursue that idea. The Empire views the friendly terms of its relationship with Britain more highly than anything at the moment. An Englishwoman has been murdered on our an Englishman has been murdered on our soil. To name an Englishwoman as the primary suspect, well, without irrefutable evidence, that would be completely out of the question. So that's the reason for the disappearance of the Phantom Woman in this case. But it's not right. One possibility does spring to mind. What do you mean, Kazuma? Yume University is currently hosting a number of exchange students from Great Britain, and I'm fairly certain that one of them studying in the medical faculty's research laboratory is a young English woman. What? You are a shred man. I can see why you're the chosen candidate for the overseas study tour. You mean... When I removed the woman from the scene of the crime, I thought it prudent to check her identity first. Then the court demands that you name the lady in question at once, Inspector. The English woman sitting at the university professor's table was a certain Miss Jacille Brett. She is indeed a foreign student studying in the research laboratory of Yume University Medical Faculty. Mein Gott. I admit that under orders from the police bureau, I erased all evidence of this lady's presence at the scene, and ordered these witnesses to make no mention of her in their testimonies. It must now be up to Your Excellency to decide how to deal with this situation. Very well, my thoughts on the matter are as follows. Thus far, the case presented to the court has been underpinned by a particularly critical premise. Namely, that the victim was dining alone. However, as we have now discovered that this premise is false, it would be a desecration of our justice system to ignore the truth and give a ruling at this point. But Your Excellency, that would mean missing the noon deadline of a ruling in order to send a telegraphic report to Great Britain. Our own government will surely be very displeased by such actions. Calm yourself, Counsel. I will not allow the government of our country or any other to influence the proceedings of my courtroom. Inspector Hosonaga. Yes, sir. You will locate this Jacille Brett and escort her to the courtroom with the utmost urgency. At once, Your Excellency. But that means you will be going against the special orders you were given from the police bureau. As I said before, it is my guiding principle to carry out all investigations flawlessly. So, it won't be a problem. Nothing will get in my way. Court will adjourn briefly. The prosecution must call the English student Jacille Brett to the witness stand. Do I make myself clear? Yes. Your Excellency. Good, then we will have a 30-minute recess before reconvening. To be continued. Oh mein Gott, das war ja, also das war gerade mal eine mega lange Verhandlung. Das ist jetzt die längste, die wir hatten. Bis zu einem, also zumindest jetzt von denen, ich ja auch noch Phoenix Wright, die Phoenix Wright Let's Play. Und von den Games, die ich kenne, war das, glaube ich, die längste Verhandlung. Wie gesagt, die neuen Phoenix Wright Teile kenne ich leider noch nicht. Die hatte ich noch nicht gespielt. Ich kenne eben nur die alten Teile bis Apollo Justice. Die hatte ich gespielt und die anderen habe ich leider noch nicht gespielt. Aber, okay. Das war jetzt mal ein mega Auftakt in das Spiel. Ich finde es bisher sehr, sehr schön, sehr, sehr großartig. Ich möchte mich hier an der Stelle nochmal entschuldigen, dass ich so viele Namen so falsch ausgesprochen habe, dass ich sehr viele Aussprachefehler mit drin hatte und Wörter nicht richtig ausgesprochen habe. Es tut mir leid. Weder Englisch noch Japanisch sind meine Muttersprachen. Und von Japanisch gerade Aussprache ist für mich, ja, meistens sehr, sehr schwer, das richtig auszusprechen. Wie gesagt, ich kann einmal gucken, ob ich da irgendwas zu finde, wie ich jetzt den Namen von der Anklage, ob ich das dann richtig irgendwann hinbekommen habe mit Achi, ob das so richtig war. Und wie gesagt, so oft also die Namen kommen jetzt nicht ganz so oft häufig vor, deswegen vielleicht kann man da einmal drüber hinwegsehen, dass ich das leider nicht richtig immer ausspreche. Aber es hat mir sehr, sehr gut gefallen bisher. Ich finde das Spiel großartig. Ich finde die Animation auch ganz toll, die du dann manchmal immer mit zwischenbei hast. Die finde ich auch noch mit schön anzusehen. Sehr schön gemacht und jetzt auch allgemein der erste Fall sehr, sehr interessant gewesen. Es ist natürlich ein Tutorial-Fall, das hat sich jetzt nicht geändert bei der Ace-Attorney-Reihe. Du hast immer einen Tutorial-Fall zu Beginn, der dir das eben ein bisschen erklärt, wie das Ganze funktioniert. Aber das war jetzt eben wirklich der längste Prozess, den ich bisher jemals hatte, zumindest eben bis dieser To-Be-Continued-Screen kam. Ich glaube, wir hatten noch sonst keinen längeren Fall gehabt. Aber wie gesagt, das Spiel gefällt mir sehr, sehr gut und ich möchte jetzt nicht hier noch länger um den heißen Brei rumreden. Es geht weiter im nächsten Part. Ich muss gucken, ob ich das schaffe, dass wirklich jeden Tag ein Part online kommt. Ich werde es versuchen. Ich kann es nicht versprechen, vor allem, weil jetzt auch mein Zeitplan leider durcheinander geraten ist, weil ich eben wirklich dachte, das Spiel kommt erst am 31. Juli raus und jetzt kam es eben schon ein bisschen früher raus. Deswegen ist leider mein ganzer Zeitplan ein bisschen durcheinander geraten. Aber ich gebe mein Bestes und werde auch diesen Part hier, diesen ersten Part, als Megapart zusammenlassen und nicht cutten. So bekommt ihr auch mal einen schönen ersten Eindruck von dem Game, ob es euch zusagt und wie es euch gefällt. Wie immer bedanke ich mich ganz herzlich fürs Zusehen. Hoffe, ihr hattet Spaß. Und wenn ihr mögt, sehen wir uns sehr, sehr gerne im nächsten Part wieder. Bis dahin, ciao!